There's an easy method to carbonate beverages cheaper than SodaStream, even cheaper than with high-pressure 5-pound carbon dioxide or CO2 tanks. We'll be using an aquarium CO2 generator that works on the reaction of citric acid and baking soda to generate the carbon dioxide gas, which is then bubbled into a beverage-filled plastic soda bottle. The hardware is only slightly more expensive than the price of a SodaStream unit, but the payoff is in the long run when CO2 canister refills run up the tab. We'll use relatively cheap citric acid powder and dirt cheap baking soda. In the picture, the aquarium CO2 generator is the stainless steel tank on the left. It costs about $90 for a kit. But we'll only be using the tank and the regulator. We have to obtain a brass fitting that converts the tank outlet to the clear plastic hose, then a convenient length of hose, and then on the far end of the hose is the ball lock quick connect. Throw in some hose clamps for safety. On a beverage bottle is a mating ball lock connector. These components add about another $40, so that's the one-time cost. Citric acid and baking soda costs, the consumables, should run about 20 cents to carbonate a 2-liter bottle, roughly speaking. This is about half the cost of SodaStream carbonation. When the system is connected as shown, the valve on the regulator is opened and CO2 from the generator flows into the beverage bottle, in this case a 2-liter bottle. The generator output is fixed at around 60 psi. This is just right for beverage carbonation, and within the typical pressures of the plastic bottles and well below their bursting pressure. We generally want to shake the bottle during carbonation to accelerate the CO2 uptake into the liquid, but more on that later. There are many aquarium CO2 generator vendors, but I bought the F-Zone 2.5L, and I'll stick with that because I know the brass hose adapter fits that model. It's probably common among other vendors, but I'm not sure. Beside the tank and the regulator, the other parts aren't needed. I would follow their recommendations for filling and operating the tank. They recommend something like 300 grams of citric acid, then 300 grams of baking soda, and then 300 milliliters of water, and quickly screwing on the regulator to capture the CO2 before it escapes. The reaction actually takes a few hours to reach peak pressure, but sufficient pressure is obtained in a few minutes. Working from the tank to the bottle, the next item we need is the brass hose adapter from the tank output to the plastic hose. In this case, it is a 1/4 inch barb by 1/8 inch NPT female brass barb pipe fitting adapter. Best to apply a hose clamp as this hose will have 60 psi pressure. The hose is 1/4 inch inside diameter. 4 or 5 feet is probably sufficient. Remembering that we'll want to shake the bottle during carbonation, so we have a little bit of freedom to move. On the far end is the ball lock quick connect. We'll probably want to use a hose clamp here as well. The last thing is the quick connect carbonation cap. This adapts the soda bottle to the quick connect hose. In my setup I show a metal one, but in practice I also bought several cheaper plastic ones because it is convenient to leave them on the bottles after they are pressurized. Since if you have to take them off to put on the regular caps, you lose CO2 pressure at that step. So just leave the cheaper plastic quick connect cap on until you use your soda. A word about the consumables, you should just buy citric acid by price. Cheapest is best. I get it online because I don't know another source. But baking soda should be bought at the grocery store. It's cheaper there than bulk online unless you're ordering it by the ton. Okay, now that you have the hardware set up, let's put some gas in the tank. Measure out your products: citric acid, baking soda, and water. Screw off the regulator. Actually easier to turn the tank and hold the regulator if you still have the hoses attached. First pour in the citric acid powder, then pour in the baking soda powder. Baking soda dissolves slower and we want to delay the time between the water getting in there and the baking soda and citric acid mixing and starting to react. Then to add water, tip the tank so the water goes down the side. This also helps slow the reaction by not having the water stream stir up the powders as much. Now, as quickly as you can, screw on the regulator. The pressure will begin to build and the bottom of the tank will get pretty cold. Make sure the valve is shut. Let the pressure build. The output side should exceed 50 psi in a few minutes. It should remain in that 60 psi range thereafter. When you're ready to carbonate your beverage, use cold water. Refrigerated water is ideal. Grab one of your quick connect caps. The liquid level should be just after the bottle begins to curve. We want some headspace. Now squeeze the bottle to force the liquid to push the air out of the headspace and screw on the quick connect cap. Now put on the quick connect hose from the generator. Open the valve and let the CO2 into the bottle. The squeezed bottle should pop back out to normal shape. If it doesn't, there might be pressure already in the hose before you put the quick connect hose on the bottle cap. This is kind of annoying because you have to relieve the pressure in the hose. So turn off the valve, remove the quick connect hose from the bottle, loosen the quick connect head where it screws into the hose fitting, just enough to let the pressure out, then tighten it up and reconnect the hose to the bottle. Now try again. This time the bottle should pop and the CO2 will flow. This is where you can shake the bottle for several minutes to help get the CO2 to dissolve into the liquid. If you tip the bottle, you can see the bubbles coming from the cap. I'd say shaking it for 2 or 3 minutes should get a sufficient carbonation level. Depends on your patience and stamina. There is one difference from SodaStream or compressed CO2 tanks. We have some regular air initially in our aquarium tank. Eventually it will purge out and be replaced by the CO2. But our first fills will bring some of that regular air into our bottles. But the key here is that it won't dissolve and instead occupy the headspace. So for the first few bottles we carbonate, I would recommend a 2 or 3 fill process where we carbonate, then open the bottle to purge the pressurized regular air, then recarbonate. Disconnect the bottle, shut off the valve. The beverage is ready to drink or to store away.